Good morning, Bitcoins. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is Proof of Work. Proof of Work is a show about the people behind Bitcoin and how they got here. Today we're joined by Fulmo from Lightning. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Are you enjoying your time in Berlin?
Yeah, it's always a great place to be.
It's a little warm today, but we're getting a little bit of a breeze from the river. We're outside again, interviewing in the elements.
Nice, yeah. Sitting next to the river.
Yeah, the River Spree. Yes, last night we rode upon it on a boat. It was pretty amazing. So having a good time in Berlin at Unchained Conference. We're going to go ahead and start with everyone's most favorite and familiar question. What was your first computer?
That was a Commodore PC-10.
Nice.
So I got that. Actually, it was an old computer that was handed down to me from somebody like threw it out of his office.
Whoa.
So
they didn't like it anymore, huh?
Yeah,
Get rid of
it was early 90s already, and I think it had been around for a couple of years. So it wasn't the freshest equipment I got, but
So what did you do with it? Well, you had a Commodore, yeah?
Yeah, well, during that time I mostly did play games on big floppy disks. And like 512 kilobytes.
Sure.
And you still had to like insert one floppy disk to boot up DOS.
Yeah.
And the other one to boot up the game.
That's right. And these were real floppies, not the later plastic hard disks, which were also called floppies. 5 1/4.
Had like a little hole inside, and you can like bend.
And you could destroy.
Yeah,
and you could lose your work.
In order to copy protect them, you could cut a piece into them.
Yeah. There was like you would put tape over it, just like a cassette tape.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you could reuse the floppy. Yeah, it was definitely a thing. Well, they had that for the 3.5 ones. If you punched a hole in them, they'd have like a higher ability to store data on them. You could store a little bit more data. It was something strange like that. Yeah. But yeah, there was all kinds of cool stuff back in the day.
And they had like them monochrome, like green matrix style monitor.
So no color, just green.
Yeah, and it was like an ASCII-based Pac-Man that I played.
Yeah.
So it was just like these little ASCII signs that are like the standard ASCII set, and they built like little labyrinths out of it. And I think like the ghosts were little playing cards, like cards and, and spades and all that.
That's awesome. You could make Pac-Man out of text.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So, and I think that's for the most part what I did. And I think I did a little bit of BASIC as well.
Nice.
I'm not sure if it was on that computer, but it's like
line numbers, 10, like 20, go to.
If you forget something, you can insert 15 or something.
And 11 and 12.
The space is gonna
you'd run out of numbers, and then you'd have to spend your time renumbering by hand.
That was the first computer, I think, like probably when I was 7 or 8 or something like that.
It's awesome, man. And then after that, did you stick with computers? Did you keep working on them, or did you go to a different discipline?
No, I like always had a computer, and I guess I was I wasn't like an innovator, but I was relatively early on with all this stuff. So
were you into programming, or are you just like into using the computer?
No, more like one of the users, you know.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
Trade floppy disks in the schoolyard, copy them.
That's right, don't copy that floppy.
and try to get like all the illegal games. I don't know, like I remember Wolfenstein 3D was like pretty popular, and everybody's like, that's illegal. And I think for some part it was censored in Germany because of all the...
Sure, it had like swastikas and things. I mean, it makes people uncomfortable, but yeah, it was an amazing early game. And what's so interesting about Wolf 3D, I remember it was one of the first ones. We were trying to copy it, and we were trying to get it to my friends, and like, at first, like, we couldn't find it. And we're like, it's not on the hard drive. We can't do it. And then we were using Xtree, this program that would show you the directory structure. And my friend's like, push L and then push D. And it turns out I had a separate drive called the D drive. And that's where everything was. It wasn't on the C drive. It was on the D drive. And once we found that, we were in business. We were copying files and everything. But it was just such a great game. You're running around the maze, and then to have a machine gun and to have the other guns. It seems so realistic. And everyone's into these third-person shooters now, and they're beautiful and they're incredible, and you can run D-Day over and over again. But for us, it was flat, Wolfenstein, boxy. It looked kind of like that Windows screensaver.
All right,
with the bricks.
And I think you had like, you didn't even have proper ceilings. It was just like empty space.
Yeah, it was just gray, empty space. You could strafe with the Alt key. That was pretty good. You could go like to the side, but it wasn't really turning. There was no jumping. It's hard to believe there's no jumping. Like, I remember playing GoldenEye on the N64, and there was no jumping, and it seemed very flat.
I played that quite a bit as well.
Yeah. A lot of people were into that, but I was more into the computer ones at that point. We were doing LAN parties and stuff.
Yeah, well, I did these as well. And I think like Wolfenstein 3D was like a precursor to Doom, which I think like totally took the genre to another level.
Pretty much,
you could play with other players. And
online you could call. Well, you had to modem. You had to call people up by modem.
Yeah, or like
and
I think what happened was like people did LAN parties and just hooked up their computers or used the school computers if you had them.
Yeah, if you're lucky enough.
Just install Doom and battle each other, and it's like, hey, let's join the computer club and hang out at school for 6 hours.
And that was us.
And we
were always in the computer labs late at night, playing all night long. That was everybody in the whole computer labs. That's all we did. Yeah.
That was the only gaming times. And also I also played a lot of adventures, the LucasArts stuff like Indiana Jones and Monkey Island.
Oh, those are really good.
Monkey Island was a pretty good one. Yeah. So like it took, I don't know, 5 to 10 floppy disks to copy the whole thing, and we even photocopied the instruction book. I mean, it didn't really. That's what you did. Like it didn't really appear to me that you could buy it. I think I didn't actually know it. Like,
well, for a kid, they were so expensive. $50 a game, things like this. We didn't have any money. We had the money for the floppy disks, and that was about it.
Yeah.
But no, a lot of people were into that back in the day, and then we got onto BBSs, and you could download things, and then the internet showed up, and we could get anything we wanted, and it was pretty amazing.
I think like I skipped the BBS part. That was before my time. I got a 56K modem.
Oh, nice. That's a fast one.
8th grade or something. When it was still like already kind of coming up. When you had like there was a time when AOL was shipping all the CDs.
Yeah.
So like basically
you get like 100 free hours. Yeah.
You get like a bunch of free hours. You still had to pay by the minute. Like it really like dug into my pocket money because when I got online in Germany, it was like 9 marks and 60 during the peak day hours, which is €5 around now per hour.
Wow.
So yeah, you can imagine when I first got it, I was like going up, and we like had to take down the times so we could share them in between in the families. Like no, I'm not paying for my sister's or my brother's online time.
Yeah, that's why you need a password. Everyone had their own password. They had their own logins. Yeah, the whole thing for AOL.
And the CDs were pretty cool because everybody just used them for decoration. You had like all these rooms for the kids' rooms that just had a bunch of CDs on the wall because it kind of looked cool.
They're shiny. There's actually a disco ball right nearby here that's made of CDs. Yeah, we'll try to cut that in later. It was an amazing time, all the free discs. And even the AOL originally came on floppy disks, and if you tape the corners, you can reuse them.
Oh, yeah,
you can save data on them. I had a bunch of good data on some AOL floppies. It's funny. But after that, did you study computers in college, or did you continue with it?
Oh no, I was just always curious. Like, for actually like one of the memories I have that kind of connects to if we want to make the jump to Bitcoin. Was crunching some numbers for City at Home. On my computer.
I was doing that too. Yeah,
I had it pretty much just as a screensaver, but it's like that's of course like. I want to participate in finding aliens.
That's what I was
doing. That's a pretty cool idea,
Yeah, I got so into it that at the time I had administrator access to the computer lab. So I ran a script that installed it on all the computers. And soon it wasn't mining, but it was very similar to mining. You're looking at all these radio records from like Arecibo telescope.
Right.
And they've been scanning the skies looking for ET, who's also going to be listening to radio in our theory. And so we were looking for ET's radio, and the more blocks we crunched, the more we would hopefully find ET.
Yeah, you download those little sound packages, you crunch the numbers, you re-upload them, and hopefully, so there's like a...
It was kind of like proof of work. I mean, it really kind of mentally prepares you for the idea of proof of work. Because we used to do BOINC, BOINC, and it was like computing at home and cracking the prime numbers. We did all these fun things, and we never made any money on it. It's totally early.
I think it's still active today, and you have leaderboards, and people are actually, and that is, people are investing in hardware. They're competing against each other. They're buying graphic cards to try to find more alien noise than the others.
That's
and there's
amazing.
Leaderboards, and like there's a whole community, and they are pretty much doing proof of work, but they're not even getting paid.
But they're not getting paid. Obviously, of course, now they'd attach a token to that, and they give you a SETI token, and you get
there's Gridcoin, right?
Is that distributed computing?
So I think Gridcoin tried to put like a monetary incentive on top of crunching numbers to City at Home. I think it never really took off for reasons that we're probably well aware. Like, but you can just put a cryptocurrency on anything. But
of course, no.
They really like.
You can put a blockchain on that. Yeah. Just put it on the blockchain, man.
Yeah, but that was like late '90s, right?
Yeah.
When it kind of became popular.
It's around the time of the MP3 in 1997.
Oh man!
Command line MP3, man. Yeah.
I remember my first MP3 player.
Yeah. Diamond Rio.
Exactly.
Oh.
It might have
not just a band.
It was like that was expensive. It was like 80 marks as well.
Yeah.
And it had 128 megabytes of storage.
Ooh.
Or was it just 64?
Oh, I got like less, man.
If I was lucky, I got a whole album on it.
Yeah, just about an album.
Yeah,
64 is right there.
If
you compress them and make them smaller, less bit rate, you could get more on there, but it would sound worse.
Yeah. It also depended on what kind of music you could find online and like on. I don't know, was like Napster or what was it?
There was like FTP. There was FTP sites,
FTP service,
like all these options to get the music that you wanted. And I remember the first time I compressed an MP3 from the command line. And I was like, this is amazing. This is changing everything. I'm going to get all the CDs. I'm going to be able to listen to all the music. And then now with the iTunes Music Store or the streaming or Spotify, you can just go album by album. If you want to listen to all the Beatles records in order, which I recommend, Twyla Tharp in her book about choreography and creativity, she recommended especially the Beatles because they start out so very basic and the songs are very simple. And by the time you get to the end, there's clearly like 4 different songwriters. They each have different styles. And the psychedelic experience made the music so complicated. Yeah. And when you listen to it, you try to break it down, it's completely different than the like donkey part at the beginning. So
I think one of the most present Beatles album I know is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts.
Yeah,
that was one of the later phases, right?
Yep, yeah, definitely one of the complex
ones. A lot of the psychedelic elements.
Yeah, great album. So how'd you find out about Bitcoin? You're hacking all the games, you're downloading, you're copying the floppy, you're in the right place.
That was like during...
We're doing SETI at home and Boink.
I took a break. Regarding, like, I mean, I always followed it and stuff, but so like having the sort of that partial background as well and some other stuff over the time.
Sure.
I just kind of read about it in a mainstream online magazine, which I think like the article was basically one of those articles that was initially caused by Schumer in the circuit.
Oh yeah.
It was like one of those first mainstream attention moments.
He did an incredible advertisement for Bitcoin.
I wish I could say like I read it on some like shared document on a semi-legal FTP server, but that was just like major news outlet. But like the moment I was like, wow, this is great. I mean, if there's so many different elements in it, from an economical point of view, and also like some of the little things like SETI at home crunching numbers.
Yeah, it all came together, and like using hard drive space, saving a copy of the blockchain, putting a copy of the blockchain on another computer, synchronizing them. I mean, it's just always there, right?
We already had file sharing, so that took some of the
Again, the ideas, BitTorrent, the Napster, these were the ideas that built and then became the foundation of Bitcoin, I think.
Right. Yeah. So you kind of just connected and my click and
did you get into it right after that? Did you buy some? Did you read about the whole thing?
I tried everything. I tried to
man.
read about it as much as possible, and I tried to look for like, okay, maybe there's other people that are interested in it. And try to meet them, which luckily in Berlin I did because the scene was strong then, and we kind of built up, and it's still what we have today. Like we kind of, I guess,
so you like went to like Room 77 and places like this where you can actually spend your bitcoins, and it seems like a good idea. You'd find people to talk about it there.
So we built a miner, got some friends. It's like, hey, let's build the miner thingy, try that out.
Yeah, everyone at first when you hear that you can make money on your computer, they have to try it, but it doesn't really work. It usually makes a lot of noise. The only reason that we ever like covered on mining is we accidentally left some on one of the computers, and then a few years later, we cracked open that computer. We were like, hey, turns out we made a profit on mining after all. We broke even. It's good enough.
Just if you had access to a bunch of servers, you would just run the mining software.
The mining software, absolutely. Now, if you think I got in trouble for putting SETI at home on all those computers, oh boy, would I have gotten in trouble if I was Bitcoin mining. I mean,
10 years ago.
Yeah, I would have gotten kicked out of school pretty much. Like, as it was, all they did was take away my administrator access, which is fair. But no, it would have been much worse if I'd mined Bitcoin. And people have. There's like huge academics who have very expensive, fancy jobs and degrees and all this work. Their eyes just go like, woo, and then they turn the servers on, and then they always get caught. They always find out.
Eventually,
But there was a great story I heard recently. I want to repeat parts of this, but not other parts, so people don't get in trouble. But there's a large .com company, and they have servers where they have to actually do legitimate load testing. We used to say at the labs we were doing bandwidth testing, and all that, but we weren't legitimate. These guys are. And for legitimate load testing on the servers, the guy ran Bitcoin. And it was so early that the big fancy company didn't care about the Bitcoin.
Right.
And the guy was able to run it and to mine a ridiculous amount. And then he retired and he became an urban legend in the company that at one point when no one cared, someone did this and then the company accidentally let them walk off with an ungodly amount of money. So yeah, I know from a friend, it's very true. It's a very funny and true story. So, but you found out about Bitcoin, you got the Berlin scene going, you were hooked up instantly.
Yeah.
What do you do now? How do you help Bitcoin? How do you chip in? Are you a programmer? Are you writing videos? What are you going to do?
So fast forward to today, I followed it all the time, and also discovered the Lightning Network relatively early on. I mean, it was just widely discussed for a while. So just followed it.
The paper was there. I saw him explain it a couple times.
And then I thought of, and when it went on mainnet, it made the most sense to me to kind of look into that and try to first of all see what's really behind it, because before that it was more of a theoretical approach. We already had this
Well, people had talked about payments channels, but we didn't know if it was going to work, right?
Yeah, also on a larger scale, because all the payment channel schemes you'd seen, I remember Mike Hearn talking about it in 2000.
Absolutely.
12, 13.
Yeah.
And he gave the example of I think streaming to pay for a car service,
sure.
Autonomous car or something. Using payment channel for that, or maybe a similar
that way
example.
You could pay kind of by the minute. You could keep streaming them $1 a minute, keep streaming it.
Exactly.
And this way you don't have to pay the fee every time you send the dollar,
right?
Or
like video streaming.
That makes sense. Streaming. Online usage,
so those ideas were around, and it just seemed like it would. The Lightning Network still is, for me, a great approach. One of the scaling approaches for Bitcoin. And so I just pretty much, we got a couple of people together. We started with the Lightning Hackdays. Invited a couple of friends.
Nice.
We made over the years, and everybody was curious. Nobody really had an idea what's like. And I mean, if you think about it, it's like the 90s again, kind of copying floppy disk, but only on a different level.
Exactly, and you get the same people together in a big room, and you all say, "Hey, what can we do with this Lightning Network? Can we make it work? Does it work?
This is cool. Let's poke it."
Yeah, exactly. That's what we used to do all the time. I learned computers by breaking them.
Yeah, it's what's a node? I mean, you know what a node is. How does a Lightning node work? What do we have to do? And oh my God, syncing the blockchain at a live event is not something you want to do.
No, not what you want to do.
We went into doing the Raspberry Blitz, which is the Bitcoin and Lightning full node on a Raspberry Pi. It has a Raspberry Pi and the SD drive, so you can kind of preload the blockchain before an event on that and kind of have an easy access node, and then you can think on top of that. But all these things was and from there we kind of did the event a couple of times, and it evolved.
And it took off, right? You did it not just in Berlin, but also in New York.
Yeah, New York,
anywhere else,
And in Munich is where we did it as well, just recently. And there were a couple of other events that were inspired by the Lightning Hackday. And for example, in Austin, Justin Moon did one. There was one in Hong Kong, which the Hong Kong Bitcoin Association, I believe it's called, did. And
they're great.
There might have been one in Seoul. I'm not 100% sure.
Wow.
And I know there was a sort of a hack day in Japan as well, and with the Nayuda guys, or in that kind of environment, because you see the Lightning development popping up in all different places. So, I mean, mostly for now, I think the industrialized countries, but you have kind of hotspots in Europe and in the US, but also in Japan and in Asia. There's this group called, is it Bitcoin Chiang Mai in Thailand.
Yeah.
And they do a bunch of Lightning tinkering.
Wow.
So it's like, I think it's this expat group that just kind of has a an interest in Bitcoin Lightning.
Yeah.
Did all this. I just saw it on Twitter actually.
It's awesome, man.
I never like met anybody from there, but so maybe it's not going on anymore. But last year they had like a lot of activity.
Well, that's what I was going to say is how great it is that you can get involved and get started with the community, and everyone else out there can get involved. If you just want to start your own event, if you want to start a meetup, if you want to get talking about Bitcoin and Lightning in your local area, you don't need any kind of permission to do it. Did anyone say, IW, the creator of Lightning Hackday?
No.
Do you own the concept or anything? I mean,
they kind of
we're giving it away, right? I mean, we're giving it away.
We talked, and of course there's a bunch of aspects that you need, like you have to plan it out a little bit. It might seem spontaneous, but it's become like it's kind of some work to pull it off. But basically we just started by creating a meetup. So hey, like inviting people, like talking to them, hey, don't you want to come? You do this, like. This is Christian Decker dude. He does something with Lightning. So let's just invite him.
Get him to come.
Yeah, first time I was like, nah, but then like we just kept poking him. And then the Lightning Labs.
There you go.
Guys came and a song, and so.
It's awesome.
Eventually, like, it was becoming a nice little thing. It has become a nice little thing, which is, and now we are doing the conference.
It's awesome.
In October, so October 19th and 20th in Berlin, the Lightning Conference, the first major Lightning conference. So yeah, it's pretty amazing to see how like it develops, and sometimes I think like even though everybody's enthusiastic, we tend to forget that we probably have created a little bubble as well.
Yeah, maybe. But inside that bubble is the excitement. I mean, I was talking to Lalu from Lightning, and he said, normally when you do tests, like he does some tests, some other people do some tests. Well, with Lightning, when he puts the code out there, all kinds of people do tests. He's getting all this support from the community, and it's really, people that code, people that don't code, people that test, people that do different parts of things are all coming together to work to improve this project. So it's a really great thing.
Yeah, it is, and you can see that in like the live events, but as well as you can see it in GitHub and in all the channels. That's pretty amazing. So I mean, that's basically what I'm doing right now with Lightning.
Nice.
Creating.
And where can people learn more about that? What's your Twitter?
Twitter is @FOMO Lightning. And the webpage is www.fomo.org.
All right.
I hope by the time this is aired, there is a proper webpage, because right now it's just a landing page. It's like that's not really like you don't really need a proper website. It's just more work,
No, it really is. They already have the Twitter, the Facebooks, all the other things, and then a webpage on top of that.
Like the Lightning Hackday website is lightninghackday.fomo.org, and but it's usually only updated before a new Lightning Hackday. So right now there's still the Munich one, and we're probably not going to update it until the next one, which is not before 2020, because it just takes time to set up. And but Twitter is fun. These days it's like the best source, or like at least the fastest source.
It's really good. The direct messages work really good. You can talk to people in the public. If you're nice to them, they don't mute you. No, it's a really great service. I love Twitter. And thanks again for the interview. I really appreciate it. It was great to learn about Lightning.
So. Likewise.
All right.